Welcome to Recalibrate with Mischa. I am so glad you are here with me. This is the space where pivoting, resetting, and taking another route is celebrated and encouraged. Today, my guest is award-winning director and co-producer Gregg Daniel. This is probably my third or fourth conversation with Gregg. He is absolutely amazing. He has an extensive career that spans television, acting, and theater. And he's currently directing and co-directing the West Coast premiere of Him, which is written by Lolita Chakrabarti. And I may have mispronounced that, but we will find out, right? Gregg is also a celebrated interpreter of August Wilson's work. He has currently directed 7 of 10 August Wilson plays. And what you will learn about Gregg in our conversation is that he's very steady, he's very principled, he's very committed to his craft, but he also knows when to say, let's do it another way. And that's one of the things that I love about him. So I'm looking forward to our conversation and looking forward to you hearing Gregg talk about the power of recalibrating, whether in his own personal life or in the work that he does. And there he is.
What a warm welcome. Thank you for the warm welcome, Mischa. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
What is this, the third or fourth interview we might have done
That's
together?
what I just
Something
said.
like that?
It's like our third or fourth time coming together. And I promise you, every time I learn something new.
Well, thank you. Well, I do too. I enjoy working on your show, and thanks for continuing to invite me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Absolutely. So before we get into Him, into your play, this podcast for me is about helping people to get the courage it takes to change their mind, to reset, to pivot, to the extent it leads to the life that they dream of having. So sometimes people change their minds and they're just fumbling through life with one bad decision after another. This is not that. This is, how do I ultimately live a life of joy by making decisions that are very intentional, but are on that pathway there? And as I have studied your work, as I have been in conversation with you, as I've had the joy and the privilege of coming to your productions, what I know is you get what it means to recalibrate. You get what it means to pivot, right? Again,
Yes.
whether personally or professionally. I know I've come to your plays, like I've seen some 2 or 3 times. And what I saw the first time may not be what I see the second or the third time. Why? Because Gregg looked at the production and said, I need to do something different, right?
Yes.
So let's start with the personal. Let's start with recalibration and in your own personal life. How do you know when it's time for Gregg Daniel to recalibrate or to make a different decision?
You know, when I when I'm not feeling grounded, when I'm not feeling foundational, something I listen to that little voice. I've learned over the years now. One benefit of growing older and age is that now you begin to trust yourself a little bit more because you've been through decades of trying things and failing and succeeding and triumphing. And sometimes, in so many ways, I'm a mentor. I also teach as a professor. So you begin to listen to that inner voice, which is telling you, giving you impulses. And as a creative artist, of course, you get creative impulses all the time. So you learn how to listen to them and how to slowly enact them. So I think recalibration is part of being an artist. It's part of being a human being, but it's also part of being an artist. I have to listen to, many times I'll try things during rehearsals that aren't working. So I have to recalibrate to make sure, well, okay, we attacked it that way, but that scene didn't quite work, or that speech didn't work for that character. So what am I going to try now? You can't be fixed. You have to be collaborative. You have to be able to pivot. You have to be able to segue. And some of the greatest joy are the moments when I've had to segue or pivot or change things around and not stay locked into one idea, and whether that's personal or professional. If you stay locked and fixated on one idea, it'll service you for a while, but there's so many other great ideas. One of the pleasures of working with this theater company, Lower Depth Theater, and with our co-producers, the Odyssey of Him, is how we collaborate, how ideas from someone can change the course of what we're doing, whether it's designer a producer, a dramaturg. It's you have to take in. And part of my job as director is listen to all these people impulses because they're bringing the best impulses. I mean, they want to look good too. They
Yeah.
want the product to succeed.
Yes.
So they're all bringing me these impulses. And if I'm fixed and locked into no, that's not the way I saw it. Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Let's try it at least and see if it bears any kind of fruit. So
Mm.
being able to recalibrate is part of being an artist, for sure, a creative artist, but also part of my personal life. I mean, I think the pandemic served as a great recalibrator for all things. So our theater company, in fact, Lower Depth Theater, we had to do mostly online work during the pandemic. So being back in a brick and mortar space now with this play hymn, this is where we live.
Yeah.
Being able to interact and interface with an audience is where we live. So that was a recalibration. What to do now? How do we keep our audiences that we cannot be in a physical space with our audience? So that's part of the recalibration, but sometimes bear greater fruit than you could have possibly imagined.
And then, having said that, which was so beautiful, what do you say to the person listening to us who really struggles with that, who really struggles with getting out of their own way, who struggles with when it's time to make a different decision? Because going to a place you've never been can be scary. Making a decision to trust somebody that you know or don't really know can be intimidating. So what do you say to the person who is listening and say, Greg, I hear you, but
Well, you just use the operative word, trust. You
Mm,
have to trust. You have to trust that you've done the work, that there's something ruminating inside of you that's causing some sort of unrest or some ease, or doesn't have to be negative, but is spurring you on. You have to trust that you've gotten this far. If you've gotten this far, you'll be okay to just try it. Trust that the whatever principles, ideas, values that got you to this level in life or this level in a project you're working on, trust that you can go further. It's
yes,
not going to fall apart on you. It's not the
yes,
rug is not going to be pulled out, but you have to have some faith and you have to have some trust.
yeah,
And again, the older you get, the more you learn that yes, I can refer back to other things that I was just so nervous about and so convinced it's not going to go right, and I got through them. And I got through them in a way that demonstratively said to me, keep trusting, keep listening to your instincts, keep praying, keep seeking the advice of those you trust,
yes,
of those who have your best interest at heart. And then in the end, you have to trust, or you'll always stay within this little box
yes,
if you don't trust. It's a nice little box, but there's a much larger ocean. Let me
yes.
just switch from box to ocean. There's a much larger one out there. And in the arts, once again, all we do is recalibrate and pivot and find new ways of telling our stories.
And you know, what you just said is so perfect because, Greg, here's what I really pray people will get as they engage with this podcast is just what you said. There is so much more to discover when you let yourself out of your own box and when you let yourself entertain a thinking beyond yourself. The idea of living in joy, the idea of pursuing a life of joy really comes with taking chances.
All
And
the time,
again,
yes.
I feel like so many times people are missing the beauty of life and of joy and what is in the ocean of it all just because they won't trust their own gut. They won't trust God. They won't trust a partner. They won't trust a creative mind like yourself. So I thank you for that.
It's a learned behavior too. The more you do it, I mean, what's the saying? The devil we know is better than the devil we don't know.
Mm,
Which is flawed. I mean,
mm,
okay, so we know a certain way of doing things, but it can't be better. I don't think it's going to be better, and you have to try. You have to take those chances. And again, it doesn't happen overnight. Seek the counsel of those you trust, of
yes.
those who have your best interest. Seek those counsel. Find a meditative place where you can think again and again on it. Write it down. There's so many ways to try out something before you actually take the leap. But in the
Mm,
end, it really depends on you taking the leap. You have to find enough courage in you, there's enough confidence to just take the lead, and also look at the outcome. So if this doesn't work, what's going to happen? Like, am I
yes.
going to die? Will it cause me to like be in a hospital, die? I mean, what's the real cost of it? How much will it cost you? Most of the times we build up something, an end result that's just cataclysmic, and it's not. No, if that didn't work today in rehearsal, I'll try it again tomorrow.
Exactly,
I'll t-
exactly.
or if I'm in previews for a show and the audience didn't quite get that, well, let me go back and try it a different way.
Yes,
So we also we build up this kind of anxiety and fear of what's going to happen when you look at it. If you step back a bit and look at it, objectively, you kind of go, it's not going to go south. It's not going to really ruin me. I won't
yes,
be talked about in infamy. So if it's not going to be that kind of ruination, give it a try. Give it a
exactly.
try.
Exactly. So well said. So well said. And the reality of it is, to your point, if it doesn't work, you can always pivot, recalibrate, and do something else. You said something a moment ago that I do want to interrogate a little bit. You said if the audience doesn't get it, how do you know as a director whether the audience got it or not?
Well, that's the special magic of theater. When you're sitting in a dark room with people, you can tell from their body posture, how they're laughing or not laughing, how intently they're investing in the story. You can feel it. That's why theater is so special. You're
Yeah.
sitting there; it's a living entity. No
Yeah.
performance is going to be the same. So I can feel the vibe in a room. I can
Mm,
feel when they're invested. And in this play, I have to say, because it is so intimate and personal, I've seen people weep. Sometimes we hear audible gasps and
yes.
sighs, which I just absolutely love. You've seen the play, so you know
Yes.
there are
Yes.
places where people sigh and gasp because of the events that are unfolding in the play. So I'm there. Theater is immediate. So sitting there with a bunch of people who are reacting and hopefully investing, I can tell when, and I learned a lot of things too. Sometimes I didn't think this was going to land. And it has a resonance that, oh, I didn't know that they would understand that.
Mhm.
You can actually tell an audience's interest or lack thereof
Yes.
by the way they're listening to the story.
Wow.
And thankfully, in this play, because we're in a nice 99-seat house, lovely theater, Odyssey Theater, who are also our co-producers, we would not have been able to do this on our own. Lower Depth, we had to find another like-minded company that wanted to bring the story to light.
Yes.
When I'm sitting in that theater number 3 in the Odyssey Theater, I can feel the level of interest our audience has, and that's something again, you can feel the vibes and what's going on around you. Some lean in, some lean back, some weep, some cry, some speak out. That's just gold. That is
Yes.
gold because they're investing in the story. You got them hooked. They're investing in it. That's important because it's a room full of strangers. They may have a friend or two they brought, but essentially you're sitting in a dark room with strangers, but you're all having this communal experience. No other art form quite does that like the stage. Love film, love television,
Yes.
but no other art form is as live and immediate as the stage is.
And I will tell you, I did all of what you said. I laughed, I cried, I hit the guy next to me because
Oh,
the guy
good.
next to me was so loud. You talk about being invested. He was so loud in
Good.
his responses to the characters. But I also, sometimes when I've had the benefit of going to your plays with you in the audience, I have made it my intention to look at you,
You
to see
have?
how you are interpreting the play. And this time I was sitting behind you and your lovely family, so I couldn't see much. But I will tell you, what you're saying is so true. I can feel as an audience member the audience's response to what's happening on the stage. And I also have always thought there's something to be said about how cast members are able to stay focused, stay in their lines, stay in the moment, and not be moved by us. Because sometimes the audience can be so invested.
Oh, that's right. We have audible. You hear a lot of audible, but they're responding to the story. They're not trying to be
Yeah,
disruptive
no,
or
for
anything.
sure.
All the responses are in relation to the story they hear, and that's gold to actors.
Yeah.
That is gold because they know what they're doing is affecting. They don't know who they
Mm,
are. Who they are there. They can't. Mostly they can't even see because of the darkness. But we know we're affecting you, so that's gold because we've gotten your attention. We've gotten your hearts, not just your minds, but you've
yes.
opened up your hearts to this
Yes.
story and you're feeling in a very resonant and visceral way. That is gold for me, for the performers, for the design team, because we're telling a story you didn't know before. You just walked in, you didn't know the
That's
story.
right. That's
But look at you,
right.
you're crying, you're knocking the arm of the guy next to you. I mean, that is beautiful. That is so in the moment
Yeah.
because of the story.
Yes.
And that's a hell of an accomplishment. And that theater, uh, good theater does that all the time. That's what it
Amen.
does.
Now, listen, before we get into him, I have this other question. No, I did not read. I saw an interview you did. And you said once upon a time, it was important for you for people to leave feeling the same thing
Oh,
about your
yes.
play. And
Right.
now you have pivoted, you have recalibrated in your thinking, and
Yes.
you want people to leave feeling something different. Talk
Yes.
to me about that new thought that you had.
Sure.
I thought that was really, really profound.
Well, that's a prime example of recalibrating. When I was a
Yes.
younger director, I wanted to make sure they got the message. I wanted to make sure it was got, and I got that from everyone feeling the same way when walking out. The real challenge in art is allowing space for them to feel whatever they want to feel, their own personal and intimate reaction.
Mm,
That's really the game for as a director. It's not making everyone or leading everyone to feel the same thing. It's creating enough space in your storytelling where, depending on who your mother, your father, your brother, your relation, where you are now, married, that you bring to it your own personal experience. That's far
mhm.
more skilled.
Yeah.
That's far deeper. That's far richer. So when I turn the corner, again, I'm a father, I'm a husband. As older I got, I realized, yes, and then I started hearing from the audiences, and each one was telling me different stories of their own family, of their own experience. It's because I created space. The actors, the design team, myself, we all created a space where you could bring your own individualized
Mm,
reaction and
yes.
story to it. That's to me is great art, not making everyone feel this monotone or mono message. No, even when we go to church or other places, we feel messages, we absorb them according to our own
So
orientation.
true.
So why should they go to the theater and then just all erase all that to come away with one message? So I have to trust that I've created enough space with my team, with my cast, that it allows everyone enough space, whoever they are, to feel their own story resonate. And that for me is gold. That's the gold standard for me now. But I was younger then. See, back then I didn't trust
Yes.
that I could
Ah,
allow
that
that to
word. That
happen.
word.
I had to make sure they all felt the same thing, because then I knew, okay, I did a good job. But then as I got older and trust, I said, you're a good enough storyteller now to let's try something a little different now. So now my gold standard, as I said, is allowing space and creating a foundation where they can all feel whatever individualized actions and reactions they have. That's the story
Yeah.
with that, Mischa.
Amen. And when I was, always preparing, when I was preparing and I saw that, I said, just what you said, I said that is such a powerful example of recalibration. And I love that even though you've been doing this a very long time, you are wise enough to stay open and honest to say, what may I be doing wrong? What can I do different? How can I learn from my cast? And because you are constantly with different people in all of your productions, I imagine the joy you get from learning so
Yeah.
much from so many different people. It has to keep directing from getting old and stale. It has
I
to.
agree. And also, I'm not the same individual I was 20 years ago,
Amen.
10 years ago, even
Amen.
5 years ago. So,
Amen.
why do I want to keep going to that well? I'm not a 20-year-old, I'm not a 40-year-old, I'm not a 50-year-old, but each decade of my life, I've learned so much. There's so much richness to bring with it. So, why do I want to be stuck in a certain kind of decade
Yeah.
when now I see a richness and I have a vision of things that have been informed by my trials and tribulations, by my triumphs and failures? I have so much and more to bring. That's one of the reasons you recalibrate,
Yes.
because at each decade or whatever it is, you're learning something new about yourself. So why would
Exactly.
you want to be stuck? Why would you want to stop that learning to
Yes.
say, no, I'm 60 now, but I want to be the 40-year-old? First of all, it's impossible.
Right.
It's impossible, but that was thinking that was appropriate for that time and that age and what's going on in the world. Now we've had a global pandemic. We've had millions of people dying. We have an administration now that I have to say is a bit hostile to
Yes.
the arts.
Yes.
So you have to take that in and you have to be of the time.
Yes.
You have to be you should reflect your time. And that's going to change everything. So yes, recalibration happens every day, every hour, because
Yes.
nothing stays the same. Nothing is
And neither
infinite.
should it. And neither
No.
should it, because
And
the extent to which we I'll go this way. I think it is a sad mistake to make that just because you've been doing something the same way for so long, and to think it's the only way to do it. Just because it's been working doesn't mean you shouldn't try something else, or you've been doing it and you don't really know a new way to do it. doesn't mean you shouldn't ask somebody, right? And so
Absolutely.
again, I really, really appreciate
What
that.
happens is you get stuck. I
Yeah,
mean, don't get stuck. I don't take that. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck in the era or a time of how you were doing it. You get stuck, and that shuts down all these new wonderful impulses you could have and want to
yeah,
act on, and this new stimulus you're getting in the world that's going around geopolitically, social, economic. All these wonderful stimulus are coming into you, and that's not just a creative artist, but as a human being. So
yes.
don't get stuck. Allow yourself to continue to grow. It makes life a hell of a lot more interesting and,
It
and
really
fun.
it so does. And this is why your word interesting is why I love going to theater. Because I'm in plays all the time. And
You
there's
are.
not an experience I have when I leave and I feel like, man, that has really it raises something in me. It makes me think something different. Even as a writer, it makes me want to write something different. It makes me look at my life and say, oh my God, how does that apply to Mischa? What can I be
Absolutely.
doing better or different? Right.
Because
So,
yes, because yeah,
yeah,
arts inspire us. We get
yeah,
inspiration. I've seen you many times coming out of our productions, and we've spoken, and you're always moved. Thank goodness, you're always moved positively because you take it the inspiration, whatever it was in the story or in the
yes,
actor or in the set or in the light, whatever it was, inspired you in its own way for you to feel inspired and empowered to
yes.
then go out, whether you want to write or share it with another human being or think about it. Even
Mhm,
you take in all this stimulus to
mhm,
inspire you to recalibrate
mhm, mhm.
and maybe
All the
bring something
time.
new to your writing or your job as a podcast hostess. It inspires you, so take all the inspiration you can.
Absolutely, absolutely. And on that note, I want to talk about the inspiration that is him. Your new play, which is currently playing at the Odyssey Theater, it runs through June the 14th, and it is an amazing two-man casting.
Yeah.
Here's one of the reviews that I
Oh
love. This
boy,
review said,
reviews.
"Him is soul staring. It unfolds like a slow burning jam session, a potent mixture of humor, vulnerability, and desperation."
Wow, that's a well written review right
Isn't
there.
that when slow burning jam session, Greg?
Yeah, that's a boy. That language that they've used, he or she used, is just it's so celebratory of the play. And the playwright Lolita Chakrabarti, she said she wanted this to be about Black joy. I
Mm,
have to throw that in there. So I began from a place of one of our cast members, who also a co-founder member of Lower Deck Theater, Jason Delane. He plays Benny. He was the one that brought the play to us, and we saw in many interviews. We actually was able to also communicate with Lolita, who lives in the UK. That is about Black joy. In many ways, it's about Black joy. It
yes, it
has to
is.
be earned, but it is about Black joy. It's an intimate little two-hander. Again, two middle-aged men, which I thought interested me also, because it's one thing when you're writing about the young, they still have so many bridges crossed and so many hills to climb. But in your middle ages, something different happens. So here, these middle-aged Black men trying to find or figure out who am I in relation to this other guy?
Mm,
Who am I in this relation with my life, my family? And it's touched people's in a way, Michelle. I have to tell you, it's just. When I do go and I sit and I watch it now and I just hear the stories of sometimes we have talkbacks, sometimes people come up to me directly, but it has moved. It really has caused some soul stirring
yes.
in our audience, and I couldn't be happier. It's a beautiful play about these middle-aged Black men who open up to each other. In some ways, it's a love story without any of the carnal nature, or it has nothing to do with that. But how do Black men celebrate each other,
Yes.
celebrate Black joy, celebrate how far they've come and who they are? How do you do that? Yes, it's going to be awkward and it's going to be scary and frightening, but ultimately, how do we, as Black men, that wear so much baggage inside, but Black men in particular, we carry so much. Angry Black men, or don't express emotions. How do we come and reconcile that? And it seems to be resonating with our audiences.
Listen, when the play opens, and I'm not giving away too much, when the play
Okay.
opens and the way it opens, with the illustration, I already knew we were going for a ride. I
Oh,
knew we were
good.
going for a ride with just that, because that symbolism alone
Yeah.
let you know something good is about to happen here.
Thank you,
Something
because
different is about to
yes.
happen here between these two men.
Yes, and she's a wonderful writer. She also wrote the book version for the musical The Life of Pi.
Yes.
Lolita. So she's getting a lot of attention in the UK, as well she should. But for us, this spoke to us because we really want to investigate at this point now, what is Black joy? Who are Black men? How can they be safe and vulnerable with each other? Those themes I haven't seen so much dealt in with middle-aged Black men on a
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah.
And again, when I say Black men, I mean resonates to your sisters, your wives, your best friends. It's not just about, it's not a male thing. It's a gender, but it just resonates among anyone who is male and loves someone who is male. It's a play, it's a production you should see because of that review.
Look, and because Greg directed it, because it's
Well,
amazing. So, my thing is, I love when strangers become friends, like, in
yes,
terms of what happens here. I love when people find commonality and common bonds in simple things like music or sports. Again, in the case of the film, in history, right?
yes,
And even in secrets, right? Because we all have them. Unfortunately, we all have them. But how these secrets bring these two brothers together is also, it could have been catastrophic, but because of the Black joy of it all, it becomes something to dance to, right?
yes,
And
yes.
so my question for you and working with the two-man cast is, how were you able to bring the human experience, right, in this work around faith and love, and friendship?
Well, I had to cast two actors who obviously wanted that as well. They wanted to be vulnerable. They wanted to explore this story and all its pain and all its detail and all its complexity. So I was lucky enough to, well, again, Jason brought the play to us, and I know he's a fine actor. But then we cast another actor who I worked with many years ago, Gem of the Ocean, my first play at A Noise Within, the first August Wilson play, Chuma Galt. So we had to have actors who had a certain place in their lives, but really wanted to take the deep dive into being vulnerable. And I have to tell you, sitting around the table, the stories that they were able to share, some of the stories about their own lives, their fathers, the men in their life, it was just, you had to have people who trusted each other and that was going to respect and uplift each other. So it starts with the actors. I had to make sure I had two actors who were ready to take the journey, because you can't hide from an audience, not with a story like this. You're either all in,
So true.
or you can't fake this kind of, it has to be opening up, unzipping their hearts.
Yes.
And from the beginning, that when the two gentlemen, Jason and Chuma, got together, I saw how much regard, the way they spoke to each other, the way they regarded, the time they took to listen to the other's story, to the other's tale. I said, these two are going to be all right.
Uh,
They're so curious about each other. They're so patient about each other. And yes, they're so loving toward each other, even though they don't know the other's experience. It
yes.
had to start with that. So
Yes.
when you have that kind of mix, two fine actors who are ready to take a deep dive into being vulnerable, I know Chuma always puts, I love how he says that I always get plays at a time it always reflects something about my life.
Mm,
I'm putting it poorly, sorry, Chuma, but he tends to land with productions when he gets them, that when he's casting them, that somehow is where he needs to be.
yeah.
So and he's 50 in his 50. So somehow this place spoke to him in his position in life. So I had two actors who were ready to take a deep dive into really what it is to be Black men and to live with the joy and the pain of being that. The honesty. I needed
Yeah.
courageous,
Yeah.
honest actors, and that I can do something with that.
Yeah.
But if you're hiding from me, if you're trying not to go there because you want to, okay, well then maybe this is not the time of the production for you.
Mm,
I respect that. Maybe you're
yeah.
not ready to open up that compartment you put back there 10, 15 years ago when
Yeah.
someone hurt you. I get it. But
Yeah.
then if you really want to explore what that pain is and the joy, you have to bring your honesty. And these two actors bring so much honesty
They do.
and joy. But I just knew from the way they regarded each other and how they were treating each other, we had something very special.
Well, something very special you do have, and this cast does a phenomenal job. It
They
was
do.
a joy watching it. I actually want to see it again, so
Oh, I'm so pleased.
I'm looking forward
Tell
to
us
that.
when. Tell
Yes,
us
yes.
when.
I'm not sure. I got to get that. You close on the 14th, so I will
Yes.
get there before you close. But I'm
Good.
really looking forward to it, and I encourage those of you listening who are here in the Los Angeles area to please make it your business to get to the Odyssey Theater before June the 14th. You will not regret taking time out of your life to spend with this cast and with this production, because it is absolutely beautiful.
I'll
That
even suggest, hey, we have Father's Day coming up. Father's Day is
Yes,
so
yes.
as a tribute to the men in your life, whether it is father, brother, a brother
Uncle,
in
cousin,
college.
right?
Yeah, we did take them to him
Right.
at the
That's
Odyssey Theater and celebrate them who they are as males. I think they'll
right.
be very, very pleased. So
I
make
do.
it a gift for Father's Day.
I absolutely do too. Before I let you go,
Yes, ma'am.
I end the podcast with the segment, the off ramp, and I have 3 questions. And the first one is, when was the last time you had to recalibrate?
Yesterday. No. Oh, yesterday. No, seriously. I'm always rethinking something, which is a healthy process.
Very much so. And that's what I
It,
want people to get from this
it's
podcast.
ongoing.
It's so okay.
It's okay. And again, I didn't die. I didn't die for Recalibrate because I think I came up with a better way approach. There's a play I'm going to be doing next, and the set design, which I'm thinking through something, and I had a thought, and I texted designer to say, so what about? So I was
Mm,
recalibrating. So yesterday,
mm.
I'm always in recalibrating, and that's a joyful thing because I'm able to do it. I'm
Yes,
able to do it. So
that's right.
yesterday.
Yes, changing your mind is a
Yes.
lifetime gift.
Yes.
Okay, what recalibrating or what recalibration has taken you the longest to do, to make, to learn? What about what is that experience, that thing that's taking you the longest time to recalibrate in?
Probably understanding my relationship with my family. It was a good relationship, but with my brother, who I lost about 25 years ago, with my parents, trying to, who am I as, who's the man, Gregg Daniel? As
Amen.
I get, again, as I said earlier, as I get older, things grow richer, memories grow richer. And so I go back sometime and think about something we might have shared, said to each other. And I understand it in a way now that I don't think I ever understood it before.
Amen.
And that takes time. That's just
Yes.
time. It's because now I'm a man, and it is an older man now, that I can go back and say, oh, that's what that was about. Oh, I
Mm,
see. And again, it's not negative. It was just I understand the profundity of
yes.
what that moment that might have been. And that takes a lifetime. That takes a lifetime to do. Thank God I've been healthy and I've lived this long, but I can look back now on my family and choices I've made and they made, and I can give a certain grace. I can bring a certain grace to them now because of how long I've lived, and I understand them now. So I'm telling you, getting older, getting wiser helps so much. So that took a long, but it was a good journey. It was a good journey to finally be here to say, I can understand moments and situations and things now and give them grace in a way I couldn't before.
That is so beautiful, which means it's never too late. It's like it is never too late to have an epiphany. It's never too late to understand somebody different. And more importantly, and not that this is your case, but it's also never too late to say, I was wrong about that.
Absolutely. Oh, please.
I
Yes.
was wrong about, I've had to say that to myself so many times, like,
Sure.
especially from a female energy perspective, like, I'm so in my feelings and I'm all emotional. And it ain't got nothing to do with none of that. All of the things I'm conjuring up in my mind, it's none of that. And Mischa, you were wrong. And if you but just take a moment to pivot and to rethink and give yourself permission to invite another thought, you will
Yes.
see how wrong you were. So thank
And
you
that's the
for that.
getting of wisdom. If you ask me, that's the getting of wisdom. When you can say, I was wrong. Whatever it was, I was wrong. I can admit I was wrong. I can forgive myself
Yeah,
for being wrong. And that's the getting of wisdom, if you ask me.
I
That's
love
that's
that.
that's a pearl. That is a pearl to be able to do that.
I love the getting of wisdom. I love that. Last question. When you're finishing this sentence, when I hear the word recalibrate, I think what?
New stuff is coming down, or it's coming down the road. There's new stuff coming. To recalibrate for me means letting in something that I might not have noticed before, or that I can bring a new idea, richness to a
Mhm.
situation because I'm recalibrating. That's the golden place to be, when we recalibrate, to say, oh, I can bring this to it now. That's my happy zone.
Ooh, you just giving me chills and goosebumps all over, because
Yeah.
that is the key. That is the key. Gregg Daniels, I
I-
love you. I thank you. I appreciate you. And maybe I'll see you when I come back.
Oh, I would love to know when you come in. Again, thank you so much for promoting the show, for promoting the arts
Always.
that they do. But please, audience, again, Father's Day hymn by Lolita Chakrabarti at the Odyssey Theater, co-production between the Odyssey Theater and Lower Depth Theater. It's let's celebrate Black joy and the men, the males that are in your lives.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Enjoy the
Thank
rest
you,
of
my
the
dear.
day.
My
All right.
pleasure. Thank
Take
you.
care.
See you at the theater. See you around
Absolutely.
campus.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Bye bye.
I so love Greg Daniels. I think he is a man with so not I think he is a man with so much wisdom, which again is why I've spoken with him 3 or 4 times. But I really appreciate it. And I hope you did too. I hope you heard him when he talked about just this idea of being okay with exploring the new and getting into that big old ocean of opportunity, right? That's what recalibration does. It releases you into a place you've never been, to have experiences you've never had. And that's why you're going to keep hearing me say every time you come here, open yourself up to make a new decision, to take a different turn, because the goal is to get to the life that brings you the most joy. Okay. So again, get to see, if you're in the LA area, get to the Odyssey Theater so you can see Gregg's play Him. It ends on June the 14th. And as Gregg suggested, take the men in your life, because witnessing this Black joy through the lens of these two brothers is a beautiful, beautiful thing. See you next time.